Pi Network is going viral again, but is it real this time? Are shops really accepting PiCoin, or is it just another wave of hype? If you've seen flashy posts claiming that businesses are now running on Pi, you might be wondering, is it legit? In this video, we're cutting through the noise. I'll break down what's really going on with Pi Network adoption, show you verified data, and expose the truth behind those trending stories. Because here's the twist. Some big players don't want you to know the facts. They're feeding the community false hope, and many are falling for it. But not you. Stay tuned, because what I'm about to reveal could change how you see Pi forever, and possibly save you from a big mistake. But before we dive into today's incredible news, I want you to do something special. Join our community by smashing the subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. Also, drop a comment right now saying Pi Network to the moon and include your country to see our global Pi family unite. Whether you're watching from the United States, Nigeria, the Philippines, India, Brazil, or anywhere else, let's show our Pi power. I'm Nathan as usual, and today what happened recently. A story went viral claiming that Optichouse, an optical store in Istanbul, Turkey, started accepting PiCoin as payment. The story spread like wildfire across social media, with thousands of Pi Network pioneers sharing it and celebrating this milestone. But here's the problem. When I dug deeper into this story, I found something very different. Let me tell you what I discovered. First, I searched for independent verification of this claim. I looked for official announcements, news reports from reliable sources, and even tried to find the store's official statement. Guess what I found? Nothing. No independent verification anywhere. This is exactly how the whales trick you. They create exciting stories that sound believable, spread them across social media, and watch as the community gets excited and shares them without checking if they're true. Now, let me share the actual facts about Pi Network's adoption that will surprise you. According to recent data, Pi Network has millions of registered users. That sounds impressive, right? But here's the reality check. Only about 20,000 wallets are active each day on average. That's less than 1% of the total claimed user base actually using Pi Network daily. Think about that for a moment. If Pi Network really had millions of active users spending Pi coins in stores, wouldn't we see much higher daily wallet activity? During Pi Fest 2024, Pi Network reported over 27,000 active sellers and 28,000 test merchants across 160 countries. That sounds great, but remember, these are mostly test merchants, not real businesses accepting PiCoin for everyday purchases. In Pi Fest 2025, they reported 1.8 million users made purchases from 58,000 participating merchants. But here's what they don't tell you. These were mostly promotional events, not regular business operations. Pi Network is still in phase 3 of its development. The mainnet launched, but it's not fully open yet. This means the network is still being tested and developed. Most of the merchant activity you hear about is part of Pi Network's testing programs. These aren't regular businesses that decided to accept PiCoin because they believe in it. These are businesses participating in promotional events or testing programs. The difference is huge. A business that chooses to accept PiCoin because they believe it's valuable is very different from a business that accepts it during a promotional event. Here's why understanding this difference is so important for you as a Pi Network pioneer. When you see stories about businesses accepting PiCoin, you might think the network is growing and becoming more valuable. This could influence your decisions about how much time and energy you invest in Pi Network. But if these stories aren't true, or if they're exaggerated, you might be making decisions based on false information. That's not fair to you, and it's not helping the Pi Network community grow in a healthy way. Let me explain why these fake stories are so effective and why so many people believe them. First, there's something called confirmation bias. This means people tend to believe information that confirms what they already want to believe. Pi Network pioneers want to believe that their project is succeeding, so they're more likely to believe positive stories without questioning them. When you see a story about a business accepting PiCoin, your brain says, This is great news. This proves Pi network is working. You feel good about it, so you share it with others. You don't stop to check if it's true because it feels true. Second, there's the fear of missing out, or FOMO. People worry that if they don't believe and share positive news, they might miss out on opportunities. They think, what if this is real and I ignored it? This fear makes people share stories quickly without verifying them. They'd rather share a fake story than miss out on a real opportunity. Third, there's social proof. When you see that hundreds of other people have shared a story, you assume it must be true. You think, all these people can't be wrong, right? But here's the problem. Those hundreds of people might all be making the same mistake. They might all be sharing the story without checking if it's true. Fourth, these fake stories are designed to trigger emotions. They use words like breakthrough, milestone, and revolutionary to make you feel excited. When you're excited, you're less likely to think critically about the information. The people who create these fake stories understand psychology. They know exactly which buttons to push to make people believe and share their content. Here's what's really scary about this. Once a fake story spreads widely, it becomes harder to correct. People start to believe it's true just because they've seen it so many times. This is called the truth effect. The more you hear something, the more likely you are to believe it's true. This is why it's so important to be skeptical of exciting news, especially when it comes from unofficial sources. Your brain is wired to want to believe good news, but that's exactly when you need to be most careful about checking facts. Now let me explain why people create these fake stories in the first place. There are several economic incentives behind fake Pi network adoption news. First, some people create fake stories to increase the perceived value of their PiCoins. If they can convince others that adoption is growing rapidly, they might be able to sell their PiCoins for more money when trading becomes available. Second, some people create fake stories to build their social media following. Exciting news gets shared more often, which means more followers, more engagement, and potentially more money from advertising or sponsorships. Third, some people create fake stories to promote their own businesses or services. For example, someone might create a fake story about Pi network adoption and then offer to help businesses accept PiCoin for a fee. Fourth, some people create fake stories simply to get attention. They enjoy the feeling of creating viral content and being seen as an important source of information in the Pi network community. Understanding these motivations helps you recognize when someone might have reasons to create or spread fake news. It doesn't mean everyone is trying to deceive you, but it does mean you should be cautious about believing stories that seem too good to be true. Here's another important point. The people who create fake stories often mix truth with fiction. They might take a real event and exaggerate it, or they might take a small test program and present it as major adoption. This mixing of truth and fiction makes fake stories more believable. It's harder to spot the lies when they're mixed with some real information. For example, Pi Network really did have merchant programs during PiFest events. That's true, but someone might exaggerate this by claiming that all those merchants are now permanently accepting PiCoin. That's the fake part. This is why fact-checking is so important. You need to look at the details, not just the headlines. You need to verify the claims, not just the basic facts. Here's how you can protect yourself from these tricks. Always look for independent verification. If a business really accepts PiCoin, there should be multiple sources reporting it, not just one social media post. Check the business's official website and social media accounts. If they're accepting PiCoin, they would probably announce it officially. Be suspicious of stories that sound too good to be true. Real adoption happens slowly and steadily, not in sudden major breakthroughs. Ask questions in the comments. If others have the same doubts, you're probably right to be suspicious. Let me give you an honest picture of where Pi Network stands right now. Pi Network is still developing its ecosystem. They're working on KYC verification, building developer tools, and creating infrastructure for real-world use. The team is making progress, but it's slower than many pioneers hoped. This is normal for cryptocurrency projects, but it means you shouldn't expect overnight success. Real merchant adoption will come, but it will probably happen gradually over months or years, not in sudden viral moments. These fake adoption stories actually hurt Pi Network in the long run. Here's why. They create unrealistic expectations. When people expect major adoption based on fake stories, they get disappointed when it doesn't happen. They damage credibility. When people discover that viral stories aren't true, they start doubting everything about Pi Network. They distract from real progress. Instead of focusing on the actual development work happening, people focus on fake milestones. Here's what's actually happening with Pi Network adoption right now. There are some real businesses accepting PiCoin, but they're mostly small, local businesses participating in Pi Network's official programs. The network is still primarily used for testing and promotional events, not regular commerce. Most PiCoin transactions happen within the Pi Network ecosystem, not in regular retail stores. The team is building the infrastructure needed for real adoption, but it takes time. Based on the current development progress, here's what you can realistically expect. More businesses will start accepting PiCoin, but it will happen gradually. The network will become more stable and user-friendly over time. Real adoption will come from businesses that see genuine value in Pi Network, not from promotional events. It might take years before PiCoin becomes widely accepted, like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Let me share some other examples of fake Pi Network adoption stories that have circulated in the community so you can see the pattern. Case Study 1. The Major Retail Chain. Story. A few months ago, there was a story claiming that a major retail chain in the Philippines was accepting PiCoin. The story included impressive details about how customers could pay for groceries and household items with PiCoin. The story spread quickly across Pi Network groups and got thousands of shares. But when people tried to verify it, they found that the retail chain had never made any official announcement about accepting PiCoin. Some people even visited the stores mentioned in the story and found that the staff had never heard of PiCoin. The entire story was fabricated. Case Study 2. The European Restaurant Chain. Story. Another fake story claimed that a European restaurant chain was accepting PiCoin across multiple countries. The story included details about special PiCoin discounts and promotions. This story was particularly convincing because it included what looked like official promotional materials with the restaurant's logo. But when people contacted the restaurant directly, they confirmed that they had never heard of PiCoin and weren't accepting any cryptocurrencies. Case Study 3. The University Tuition. Story. One of the most elaborate fake stories claimed that a university was accepting PiCoin for tuition payments. The story included quotes from university officials and detailed explanations of how the payment system would work. This story was shared by thousands of Pi Network pioneers because it seemed like a major legitimacy boost for the project. But when people checked the university's official website and contacted their admissions office, they found that the story was completely false. These case studies show you the pattern of fake Pi Network adoption stories. They always include convincing details, they always claim to be major breakthroughs, and they always fall apart when you try to verify them. The key lesson is that convincing details don't make a story true. Real verification comes from checking with official sources, not from believing detailed descriptions. Now, let me balance this discussion by sharing some real Pi Network success stories that have been verified. There are actually some small businesses that have started accepting PiCoin, especially in countries where Pi Network has strong communities. These businesses are usually small, local shops that serve Pi Network pioneers in their communities. For example, there are some small cafes and restaurants in various countries that accept PiCoin as part of Pi Network's official merchant programs. These businesses are real, and they really do accept PiCoin. The difference is that these real success stories are much smaller and more modest than the fake stories. They don't claim to be major breakthroughs or revolutionary changes. They're just small businesses trying something new. These real success stories are important because they show that Pi network adoption is possible. They prove that the technology works and that some businesses are willing to experiment with PiCoin. But they also show that real adoption is happening slowly and gradually. It's not the sudden, massive adoption that fake stories claim. Here's another real success story. The Pi network team has made genuine progress in developing the technology and building partnerships. They've created a functioning blockchain, developed mobile apps, and built a community of millions of users. This progress might not be as exciting as fake adoption stories, but it's real and it's important. It's the foundation that will make real adoption possible in the future. The key is to appreciate real progress while maintaining realistic expectations. Pi network is making progress, but it's not ready for massive mainstream adoption yet. Let me give you a practical guide for identifying fake Pi network adoption stories. Red flag number 1. The story only appears in one place. If a business really starts accepting PiCoin, the news should appear in multiple places. The business should announce it on their website, social media, and possibly in local news. If you can only find the story in one place, especially an unofficial Pi network blog or social media account, be skeptical. Red flag number 2. No official confirmation. Real businesses that accept cryptocurrency usually make official announcements. They want to attract customers who use that cryptocurrency. If you can't find an official announcement from the business itself, the story is probably fake. Red flag number 3. The story sounds too good to be true. Fake stories often claim major breakthroughs or revolutionary changes. Real adoption happens gradually, not in sudden major leaps. If a story claims that Pi network is suddenly being accepted everywhere, it's probably fake. Red flag number 4. No contact information or verification details. Real stories include ways to verify the information. They might include contact information for the business, official statements from company representatives, or links to official announcements. Fake stories often lack these verification details. Red flag number 5. The source is unreliable. Check who is reporting the story. Is it a reputable news organization or is it an anonymous social media account? Real news comes from credible sources that have a reputation to maintain. Red flag number 6. The story uses emotional language. Fake stories often use words like breakthrough, revolutionary, game-changing, or massive adoption to trigger emotions. Real business news is usually more neutral and factual. Red flag number 7. The timeline doesn't make sense. Sometimes fake stories claim that a business has been accepting PiCoin for months, but no one heard about it until now. Real adoption would be announced when it starts, not discovered months later. Green flag number 1. Multiple credible sources. Real stories are reported by multiple credible sources. If you can find the story in several legitimate news sources, it's more likely to be true. Green flag number 2. Official business communication. Real stories include official statements from the business itself. Look for announcements on the company's website, official social media accounts, or in press releases. Green flag number 3. Realistic scope and timeline. Real stories describe adoption that makes sense given the business's size and Pi network's current development stage. They don't claim massive, sudden changes. Green flag number 4. Verifiable details. Real stories include details that you can verify independently. They might include contact information, specific locations, or other facts that you can check. Using these guidelines, you can quickly evaluate whether a Pi network adoption story is likely to be true or false. Remember, it's always better to be skeptical and verify information than to share fake news. Here's how to stay informed about real Pi network developments. Follow Pi Network's official channels and announcements. Check multiple sources before believing adoption stories. Join reputable Pi Network communities that fact-check information. Focus on official updates from the Pi Network team rather than viral social media posts. Understanding the truth about Pi Network's current adoption helps you make better decisions about your involvement in the project. Pi Network has potential, but it's still in development. The real value will come from genuine adoption and use cases, not from viral fake news stories. By staying informed and skeptical, you help create a healthier Pi Network community that focuses on real progress rather than hype. As a Pi Network pioneer, you have an important role to play. Share accurate information, not unverified stories. Ask questions when something seems too good to be true. Support real businesses that actually accept PiCoin. Help educate other pioneers about the difference between real and fake adoption news. The truth about Pi Network's adoption might not be as exciting as the viral stories you see on social media, but it's much more valuable. Understanding the real situation helps you make informed decisions and avoid disappointment. Pi Network is still developing, and real adoption will come with time. But it will be built on solid foundations, not on fake news and unrealistic expectations. The whales want you to believe every exciting story because it serves their interests. But you deserve the truth, even if it's not as thrilling as the fake stories. Remember, real progress in cryptocurrency happens slowly and steadily. The businesses that will truly adopt PiCoin are the ones that see genuine value in it, not just promotional opportunities. Stay patient, stay informed, and stay skeptical. That's how you'll succeed in the Pi Network ecosystem. So, there you have it. The truth about Pi Network's real-world adoption that the whales don't want you to know. The viral stories about businesses accepting PiCoin are mostly fake or exaggerated, but that doesn't mean Pi Network doesn't have potential. The real opportunity lies in understanding the truth and making informed decisions based on facts, not hype. If this video helped you understand the real situation with Pi Network, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Write Pi Network to Moon along with your country name and flag so I can see where my viewers are from around the world. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss my honest analysis of Pi Network and other cryptocurrency projects. I'm committed to bringing you the truth, even when it's not what you want to hear. Share this video with other Pi Network pioneers who might be falling for these fake adoption stories. Together we can build a more informed and realistic Pi Network community. What do you think about these fake adoption stories? Have you seen other examples of Pi Network misinformation? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where I'll be revealing more secrets about Pi Network that could change everything you think you know about this project. Remember, stay informed, stay skeptical, and always verify before you believe. That's how you'll succeed in the world of cryptocurrency.